What's going on, guys? Boo Maddox today, and I'm super excited for this guest. This is episode number 3 of our podcast for Who's Your Agent, and I'm super excited for this guest, Mr. Bryan Hurd, or B. Hurd in Utah. If you haven't had a chance to get to know him, Bryan is one of the best people that I have ever met. Very few people, I would say, love the people that they work with more than Bryan Hurd. He cares about the people that he works with. He cares about who they are. He cares about what their goals are. He does everything in his power to make it a smooth transaction. And not only that, but to make it so that it is a relationship, right? He is very relationship focused between him and his clients, and it shows. Super excited for you guys to see this episode of Who's Your Agent.
Hi. We'd like to give a special shout out before we start the podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Liquid Death. You guys, Liquid Death is mountain drinking water straight from the Alps. And you can find it in a can. And honestly, it looks like a can of beer.
It does.
But it's really not, because really what Liquid Death does is it actually murders your thirst. This is the third Liquid Death that I've drank.
How many of them were with me, can I ask?
Everyone. And it goes, and boo, it goes down smooth.
It does go down. Okay. Reclap. Okay. Now that we got the shenanigans out of the way, Connor, cut all that first part and put that in a secret folder just for me. Okay, please. And thank you. All right, here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm clapping. I don't think the first clap is just used to sync everything up. All right, let's actually do this.
Game time.
Okay. Connor, if you're hearing this, skip to at least 1 minute and 40 seconds. Okay. Bryan, we seriously appreciate you coming down. It really does mean a lot to us. You can't look at me like that.
Sometimes when we touch.
Oh.
Okay.
Is it Friday at 2:30?
Boo, the problem is there's just an energy.
There is.
That this is going to be, in my opinion, this is going to be one of the most enjoyable podcasts because we're just two really charismatic, living life to our fullest, heart out, open, trying to make the most of every day, being present. Boo, I really do consider you like one of my good friends.
No, and I feel the same.
So,
and it's honestly part of what led me to wanting to start this podcast is because I have met some really cool people in this industry.
Yeah.
I've met some really cool people that I enjoy hanging out with. And then you hear some horror stories that come up about certain agents being worked with. And it's like, you know what? I think what I want to do is showcase some of these awesome people that I've got to know. Mm-hmm. Some of the ones that I think are doing some unbelievable things and people that are doing good things for our industry.
Totally. Yeah, and I would actually say, here's the irony to that, right? I would say in large part, a good portion of the success you've had is because you've built relationships with the right people.
Yeah, and
it says that about you, though, too.
I feel very lucky, right?
Yeah, what says it about you, too, though? Like, they're choosing to build a relationship with you. I mean, that's what we're trying to do in life, man.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that because and that's kind of one of the things that we want to talk about. What we love to start in the 2 episodes that we've done so far, where we've loved to start is at the beginning, right? We want to get a little bit of background on you because I think when somebody's looking to either buy or sell a house, they need to know who they're working with, and I think it's one of those things that I've learned in developing and building those relationships. Is that the story of like kind of what pushed people to get into real estate is very unique, and it oftentimes drives a big part of what their purpose is within real estate. Mm-hmm. So take us back to kind of the beginning, before you were licensed, what life looked like, what it was. And kind of what started to transition into being a full-time agent and one of the top agents and team leads in the state for the last, 5-6 years?
Yeah, for sure. A little different now, but yes. I got something in the back of my throat right now. I got to just work it through.
That's okay.
So I consider myself really fortunate because, did I find real estate or did real estate find me? I would say maybe a little bit of both. The way it happened for me is that my father-in-law was a broker and owner of a RE/MAX. And
Here in Utah?
Here in Utah,
okay.
South Jordan. And when I got married, him being a great guy, his name's Doug Winder, love him to death, one of my best friends. He said, I was going to school at Utah State, and he said, hey, what do you do in the summer? And I said, probably getting a job around campus. I got married that year in January.
Studying what?
Accounting.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Wow, that would have been a mistake.
That could have been.
Dodged a bullet there for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So he says, what are you doing this summer? And I was like, working around. He's like, hey, I'll pay you $10 an hour and you can work with me and help me out with some real estate stuff. I need help. Like, and I think that was kind of like his way of, being nice to his new son-in-law.
Oh, like trying to bond with you?
Yeah, I think to some extent. But to me, I was looking at it and saying like, look, $10 an hour, that's probably as much as I'd make up in Logan. Real estate seems interesting to me. And what do I got to lose? So Chandy and I lived in their basement that year.
Which everybody wants to do.
Yeah, totally.
Live in their in-laws' basement.
Live in the in-laws' basement, check. And we did that, worked with them that summer, had a great summer. Really got to see what it was like, what real estate was like. And I got to learn it from someone that was doing it in a way that felt in integrity with me. And
which I think is important to you, right?
Oh, dude, like real estate for me can be boiled down to two simple things: relationships, and I believe in home ownership. I believe in relationships. I believe in home ownership.
And you realized that when you were probably spending that time with, remind me your father. Doug.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great model for that. And then the thing is it's the theme of my life. One of the things that I think we really connect on is we realize how blessed we are by the people that are in our lives.
For sure.
And
put a huge priority on those people and spending time with them.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's like why I'm here today.
Yeah.
You sent me a text last night and I literally was like, absolutely.
Even though you just got off a flight.
Even though
you're a day back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had stuff I had to get done today and I was like, no, absolutely I can do this. Because I value our relationship.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was probably what drove you to getting further into real estate, because just like I think I have, you realize that there's a very unique opportunity to build a very incredible and unique relationship with the people that you work with.
100%. And that is the gift. The gift is how cool that I can be in a profession that I can provide a life for my family, create experiences with my people, right? It's more than a transaction. Like the relationship continues on well after they buy or sell a house with me. And the goal would be is that like I'm not only helping them, but I'm helping their friends and their family, maybe their kids at some point. And, going down this path, because buying a house is a big decision. They have a lot of options out in front of them. What I know is that I truly believe they're going to have a different experience working with myself or a member of my team.
So before we get into too much about how you run your business and how you have it set up, I have to ask, you say that you were in school to be an accountant, but what you just described as far as like the things that make you happy and the things that drive you,
exact opposite.
Couldn't have been two things that were further apart. So I want to go back to what it was that maybe kicked off. Like what was the moment? What was like what was it? I think it was either something that was really small and all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's insignificant. I shouldn't feel this way. I'm out. Or it was like something big where all of a sudden you're like, okay, Bryan the accountant is not going to work for me.
Yeah, the epiphanal moment of that pivot point.
When did you take that other road?
Yeah, so I did a internship with Wasatch Property Management in Logan my senior year at Utah State, and I worked with the CFO. His name was Curtis, and one of the things that was really great about Curtis is that he took an interest in me, and throughout that internship, I was doing incredibly boring things like depreciation schedules.
The parts of real estate that you probably try to farm out to your team now, right?
Oh, dude, like detail-oriented Excel spreadsheets, like looking through documents and verifying stuff. I mean, the worst thing I could possibly do. And at the end of that internship, he just asked me, he's like, do you like this? Is this something you really want to do? And I'm like, okay, this guy could potentially be my future boss. Do I tell him the truth or do I lie? And I chose to tell him the truth.
Tell him that like this is stupid.
I was like, honestly, Curtis, like I don't really enjoy this. And he's like, well, what do you enjoy? What a great question, right?
Yeah.
And I said, last summer I sold real estate with my father-in-law and I had a great time. What I liked about it is I had autonomy. I was working with people and I was doing something that I thought was good and helping people. And he said, man, that sounds like something that'd be a really great opportunity for you. And within a few weeks, I had graduated, packed up my house, found an apartment in West Jordan, 2-bedroom little apartment, moved my family down there.
And you were all in?
All in, activated my real estate license, had a baby a month later, and a month and a half later after that, we bought our first house. All in, dude. And that set a direction for sure, right?
Yeah. So what was kind of that first direction, and what you talk a lot, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on this podcast a little bit. What was the evolution for you, right? What was from start to like where you are now? What would you say has kind of changed the most, and what would you say has kind of stayed the same since your first time in real estate?
What stayed the same is that
I also want to add, the average tenure of a real estate agent is less than 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of real estate agents get out after 5 years. Right.
Yeah.
So like you've had longevity. You've been in the business for how long now?
18 years.
18 years, which is significantly longer than the majority of people stay in it. Right. So I would love to kind of go through that evolution with you just a little bit, and what you think has changed in order for you to, number one, the market is very different than where it was 18 years ago when you started. Right?
When you were in 6th grade.
Exactly. Right. No, I was, 12, 13, right? When you first got started. So like, what have you done? What has stayed the same? Because that's a big jump. And so what has kind of stayed I don't want to say stayed true. What would you say that you've done that is still with you today? And what are some of the things you've kind of said, you know what, the changing market needs this? Like this is kind of getting into your business just a little bit.
Yeah. I'd like to first give a shout out to Liquid Death. Okay. Will you do me a favor and let me know when it's time to do a sponsor?
Hey, Liquid Death. Hey guys, Taylor over at Liquid Death. If you can please send Bryan. What if I just start guessing a different? I'm gonna start guessing a different name. Hey Taylor over at Liquid Death, will you please send Bryan Hurd a case of water, please? Thank you. Yeah. And eventually they're gonna be like, wait, my name's Taylor.
I'm just feeling great right now. All right. So to answer your question, it was what has been constant and what has changed in my, 18 years of real estate.
Through your evolution in real estate.
Oh, for sure. Okay. So what I tell you is constant is relationships. That is the theme of my life. My life is in direct proportion to the relationships I have in my life. And that starts with myself, and then that goes outward to other people. I really believe, that one of the things I'm going to look back on at the end of my life is like, what impact did I have? And that's going to be a lot more than how many houses did I sell? That's going to be like, what did I do in this world, right?
Outside of just what I was supposed to be doing, which was providing for your family, or whatever portion of real estate is left over there, right?
Mm-hmm. And so, I realize that real estate has been a blessing in my life because I believe in home ownership. I believe in relationships. And that's actually been constant. For 12 of those 18 years, I ran a real estate team, like a pretty good sized real estate team. That was selling probably, 140 to 170 houses a year.
Which is huge.
Yeah. And that's with, like 5 people, 6 people. So that's really respectable. And most of those people have gone on to continue to be successful in real estate, which is like part of the thing that I'm really proud about.
That means a lot to you.
Yeah, of course, because I feel like I had direct impact in other people's lives directly, right? Like they have a profession now that they are providing for their family, and I've taught them to do real estate in a way that is relationship based.
So how do you feel like that comes out for your clients, right? What is it? Because ultimately, the people that I want listening to this are somebody that says that listens and is like, okay, you know what? I think Bryan Hurd is that person for me and my family to make this decision with. How would you, what do you think the process feels like for your clients, knowing that relationship is kind of the most important part of the transaction for you?
Yeah. So let me just tell you,
because that's pressure, right? Like that's you putting a lot of pressure on, saying like, hey, this is going to be something impactful.
Yeah.
Right. You're kind of setting yourself up to fail almost. Like it's no different than saying this is going to be the best transaction ever. Yeah. Right. You're kind of setting yourself up saying that like relationships are important to me. Like so what does that feel like?
Ooh. It was an air pocket. That was Liquid Death.
That's the death part.
Wow.
Connor, edit that out.
This carbonation is just hitting me. Well, I would just tell you, for me, it's a natural process. I believe that there's a level of salesmanship in real estate.
I agree.
I also believe that the highest level of salesmanship is just helping people get what they want and protecting them from themselves. Right? You ever walked into whether it's a shoe store or whatever, and they're like, hey, what are you looking for here today? Or like a car lot, maybe even more, right? Like they're trying to sell you a car.
They're just trying to get you through the process.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus the person that's like, you're like, I'm actually looking for a really specific car, or like, I actually just need those shoes. And then all they do is, instead of trying to flip you to another car, they're like, tell me what you're looking for. Okay, great. We don't have that. Let me see if I can find something. And they call you like a day later, 2 days, and they're like, hey, I found this. Are you still interested in it? And you're like, whoa, this dude was listening to me. Right.
Or even if they can take it a step further, which I think you do a great job of saying, okay, well, tell me why push to start is so important for you.
What's important to you
Is
about
it worth this? Is it worth an extra $10,000? Is it that they're actually able to figure out why something is important to you so that you can make it a real decision, I would say.
Yeah. That's it's a process. That's what I tell people. When someone's going to buy a house or sell a house with me, I do what's called an initial consultation. The purpose of the initial consultation is to get clarity. What's important to you about this next step? What does that look like for you? Okay, let's put a plan together that if everything went the way you wanted it to, we would execute that plan.
So how do you feel like you accommodate? Because I feel like I run into this at times where people are like, nope, I have to have a third car garage.
Yeah.
I have to have a third car garage. Mm-hmm. How do you navigate through some things that you understand, like, hey, with what your budget is versus location versus, you know what, it might not be possible for you to get that third car garage. Tough conversations are going to be throughout the entire process of real estate. I think there's going to have to be difficult conversations that are had between an agent and a client. If your agent says that this is just going to be the perfectly smooth, easy process for you, I think that they're going to be lying to you ultimately.
Yeah, well, they're setting themselves up.
Correct,
Definitely.
right? So tell me what you think that you do in those situations where you're like, okay, you know what, I have to have an honest conversation with this buyer about expectations.
Well, that's where everything goes back to that initial conversation. Hey, I'd say like, hey, boo, do you remember when we met, when we first started looking at houses? Some of the things that you said were important to you was you wanted a third car garage. You wanted to be in this area. You wanted to be in this price point, right? So far, boo, we've looked at 15 houses, 20 houses in the areas that you want. One of the things we also talked about is that there is no perfect house. And so sometimes we're going to have to make some decisions, right? Some compromises on things. What we need to figure out is like, what do you really, really want? What are you willing to compromise
So almost like have them make it a list and say, okay, number one is your most non-negotiable. I'm not giving it up.
Yeah.
Has to be there.
Has to be there.
Yeah.
And what I found too is people get out and start looking, like reality sets into some level, and they start to realize like, wait, Bryan's right. So I was talking with someone and they said, I want a third car garage. I want to be in South Jordan. I want to be under 600,000. My first comment to them is I said,
no shot.
That house doesn't really exist. And let me tell you, and if it does exist, what's going to happen is it's going to sell for more than 600,000. There was one house that came up during our search, and it was grandma's house that the basement was unfinished in this area, and it was 600,000.
Somebody that knew exactly what they had.
And all this, guess what the house went for? 650, right? And now they now have a direct experience with it, and they're like, oh wait, Bryan's right. And so I'm like, so what we need to figure out is, if you want the third car garage, we just need to figure out a way out to pay a little bit more money. Or we need to look at a different location, right? And so what I learned in the last recession was to be hard on the problem and easy on the people. Because I'm not trying to offend them. I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm trying to be real with them.
Because you believe in home ownership and you believe that this is the right decision for them to be making.
Yeah.
It's not coddling. It's like, I want to nurture and help you understand the reality of the situation here. And just because it might not be everything you want it to be, doesn't mean that it's a bad thing or it's a bad process or that you should go back to renting, or that you should go back to your mom and dad's basement, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and then it goes back, what's important to you? And then sometimes you have to, when you're in the forest, you have to remember why you started the journey.
Yeah.
Because it's dark and it's cold and you're not sure. And when a real estate agent is doing their fiduciary responsibility, or let's just say being a true guide, you're leading and guiding people through a process that they're going to do a handful of times in their life. And my job is to protect them from themselves and help remind them what's important about their process. And people are motivated by different things. People view things differently. So what I try to do is understand who I'm working with so that I can communicate with them in a way that makes sense. Some people are very much more data-driven. Some people are much more emotionally driven, right? Some people need a lot of support and hand-holding along the way. Other people, They just want to go their path, and they just want me to stay along the side and
step in when you have
step in when I
absolutely have to.
Right. And like this is like I really think it's like there's intellectual intelligence and there's emotional intelligence. I believe the best real estate agents got a little bit of both. They can have an intellectual conversation about, hey, here's why rates are doing what they're doing right now. Here's where the market's at right now. Here's what you need to know. Intellectual. And then they can also do emotional, where they're like, dude, this person's stressed out right now. What could I do to help them out?
This is a stressful situation. This is a big purchase. This is a big decision.
Right.
That's not easy.
And it's almost like you're putting on like a therapy hat at times, where you're just like, hey, where are you at right now? What's going on? How can I help you?
So when you are, because I third episode, third time saying this, whenever a real estate agent says, I work with everybody, just anybody that's thinking about buying or selling a house, reach out. And I think that that's true to an extent. We're all grateful for the business, but I think that there's also certain buyers that just work better with certain people, right? I've heard in your sales meetings before, you describe it as your avatar. Who is your perfect avatar? Who is out there that might be listening to this, that if they are this person, they don't have a choice. They got to call.
They got to call me.
Who does that look like for you right now?
Before I say that, can I just do a quick shout out to Liquid? I just want to.
I'm telling you, you're getting a whole separate real cut of just your Liquid Death plugs.
It's the best water I've ever had in my life. It's the elixir. Drinking the elixir. Oh. Yeah, dude, here's my avatar. My avatar is me. Just be straight up with you. Here are my favorite people to work with. They're probably somewhere between 30 to 50 years old. They may or may not have kids. Most likely they do. Right, they're married. Hopefully, they're not getting a divorce. Those are
you don't like the 2-for-1 specials,
dude. It's just a. I mean, I can do it, but it's just like a navigating through it. You know, like there's a level of empathy where I just am always like, rarely is divorce amicable.
Do you ever catch yourself picking sides?
I try not to, but yeah, I mean, of course, there's always like,
there's always gonna be the one that you're like, okay, you were pretty, like, this was a sucky situation, and you were cool.
I was like, yeah, she was really and I just kidding. just kidding. Can we edit that out?
Yeah.
Steve.
That'll just be for our Connor.
Okay, Connor. Okay. So yeah, I mean, what I tell you is like these people, they've probably been in their house for the last 5 to 7 years, maybe more. They're at a place where they're like trying to make that decision. Like, do we buy the house that we want to like raise our family in, that like we're really going to enjoy it? Or do we just kind of stay where we're at and maybe get a secondary like rental property or a home or whatever, like secondary
an Airbnb in St. George type,
something like that. And because what I found is like the average person is going to have 4 or 5 houses in their life, and not everybody does it. But what you'll find is my opinion is like if you're going to get that house that you really want to enjoy, do it when your kids are going to be able to enjoy it. I remember my parents. It's like everyone moved out of the house and they bought this house. I was like, that was the house I wanted to grow up in.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
So it's almost like you have a vendetta against that, and you like,
that's
you
why
need to help people get in.
That's why I hate Justin, because he had all his friends over there all the time. He had a shrine in the bonus room.
In the nice house. Well, it should have been Brian's room.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? He's got his like all-star jerseys and everything up there. I'm like, Mom, this hurts me.
I'm B Hurd in Utah.
I'm special too, Mom. So going back to the avatar, these are the, because those are people in positions where they're typically making more money than they were making when I sold them a house 5 to 7 years ago. And so like, even though there's been this transition in rates and stuff, they've got enough money and equity in their house that it's not a crazy transition, right? Their house payment probably is going to go up, but it's not a big deal to them because they're like, I'm earning enough money that like, we want to try to keep like your house payment should be more than 25-30% of what your take home is, right? And so, for these people, it's like, that's not a big deal, right? I've got a $3,500 house payment. Not a big deal, right? And that's who I love working with because it's like really fun. It's really fun. We can like make their house a product where it's going to be a great experience, and then we can find them where they want to go. And it's like, I love that feeling because they're going into a house where they're like, we're pumped. We want to. This is where my kids' friends are going to hang out.
And we're like the prime years of your life with your kids, probably.
Totally.
Right? Before they move out, before they start their own lives, this is a place where they can build those relationships.
Totally. Build relationships,
Yeah.
have memories and all that stuff. Like that is like my 100% ideal, awesome situation. I'll tell you the other one that I really like is I like helping my friends' parents. That like is really special to me. I just helped one of my really good friends, his mom. And just let you know, it took her 3 years to decide to sell her house because it was such an emotional thing for her.
It was tough.
Her husband had built the house, raised her family there. And I remember I just loved her through the whole thing. I just was like,
you felt like the heartbreaking of selling the house too with her.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, I felt like she was my mom.
Yeah.
Because she's my really
she was
good
going
mom.
through it.
Yeah. And I just sat there with her. Sometimes she cried. I just, I would look for ways to do little things because I took it personal, And then we helped her get into the next place, which was like a great community and it was an awesome experience. And it's like, wow. And she's going to be happy. Like she doesn't have to take care of this huge yard anymore. She doesn't need to worry. It's a brand new place. She's in a community where she's going to find like-minded people.
And it's been good for her?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And you know what? Moving is dang hard, especially as you get older and older and older. And it hit a point where I just kept, checking in with her and saying, and she's like, yeah, it's time. I'm ready to do it. So those people, it's like, that's where I'm really best. And don't get me wrong. Like, once again, I'm happy to help everybody,
But I do think that like there are people that you are just specifically good with, right?
Well, yeah, and the two people that I told you.
And that's not just you. I think that's every agent. I think every agent has that person where when they come through the door, they know like, hey, I know what it is that you're going through. And they're like, I know, but you're like, nope.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, that's right. I just tell you, like, I have a really high emotional intelligence and like I can sit with people.
Well, I think that a lot of what got you into real estate has also kind of had you shifting your focuses a little bit, right? And that building relationships. So tell us a little bit about, and I'm kind of leading into this because I do know Bryan as a friend and as somebody that I'm close to, and like I watch the things that you're currently working on.
Yeah.
Right. So I know that relationships are very prevalent in what you're I don't want to say transitioning out of because you're still very much in real estate, but let's call it your side hustle, right? Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing just outside of real estate.
My passion project?
Your passion project.
Well, I just started a Lego spaceship. It has over 2,400 pieces.
Are you excited for Obi-Wan to come out next week?
And Star Wars and Legos and space. No, I'm just kidding.
That's it.
Actually, I really do love those things, but that is not what we're talking about. What Boo is referencing is I do men's work. I do a men's retreat. Call it Evolution Project. Boo's been to one.
Been to one. Second one?
You went to the second one. You went to the one that was fire, literally.
That was literally fire. We got chased out of Oakley Canyon.
Yeah, fire.
2
o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning.
And then where do you go? Where do you go at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're doing an event and you literally get everything kicked out?
A very emotional, bonding,
amazing experience.
An unbelievable experience. All of a sudden at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're like, okay, do we call it?
What do we do?
What do we do?
And we say, let's go to IHOP.
We need to regroup at IHOP.
And we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And we figured it out.
And that was one of the highlights of the weekend, I would say, is like that hour at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Getting chased out by a fire and saying, okay, now what?
Let's go eat pancakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what's interesting is so I've done 8 of those now. It's absolutely a passion project. I mean, the reality is like, if you dissect my life, the reason I was so good at like running a team is because I understand people and what my unique ability is. This is why I'm good at real estate, man. It's because I get people and I create a space for them to become a better version of themselves. That's literally what I do. And I could be selling real estate. I could be doing an evolution project. I could be working at any company. And like truly, that is the constant. And what does it come back to? Relationships, right? And so
what would you say you've learned through doing the evolution project and focusing on relationships at, I would say, even a more significant level than you're able to in real estate? Because there's always still going to be the transaction behind the relationship. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter how good of friends you think that you are, there's always going to be a transactional element about that relationship. And I think what you did with the Evolution Project is you kind of removed that.
Yeah.
You removed that transaction there that people can't say like, okay, well, he's doing it for the transaction. So what would you say you've learned even deeper about relationships? I think it's really cool to hear about what people learned that they didn't know in something unrelated to what they're doing. But when you've spent 18 years of your life building a business around relationships,
Yeah.
what did you learn all of a sudden in a year of doing the Evolution Project? Like, okay, we need to take this will help take the real estate to the next level.
That is a good question. So are you asking like, what has the Evolution Project taught me essentially?
Yeah. Like what, but specifically more about like what you, because you didn't get into it to learn a bunch of things that you didn't know.
No.
I think you got into it to further deepen the well of relationships in your life.
Yeah. Like, okay, that. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So like what deeper understanding of relationships would you say that you have now that you didn't when you were just doing real estate?
Yeah. So what I'd say is it basically gave me a platform to do everything that I was doing with my real estate team. And I just took off the top and I was like, wait, I could do this with anybody. And you don't need to be on my real estate team. And, I have spent thousands of hours and thousands of dollars doing lots of work on myself over the years. Now, I am not some, speaking from the top of the mountain, like I figured life out. But what I figured is like, you learn your work by doing your work. That's just the truth, right? I could spend my whole life like running from myself if I wanted to, being caught up in all the other stuff. But eventually, I'm still going to be left with me. And so to me, a life of meaning and purpose requires me to do my work. And I just figured like, if I'm going to do my work, why not invite people along the journey with me? And like, why not make the world a better place along the way instead of me just going up on top of the mountain with the Buddhist monks and meditating and finding enlightenment, which is great.
Does it have to do with other people winning with you?
Hell yes.
Yeah. Where I think that you and I share this, but like where we are ultra competitive, but everybody around me, not only can they be winning, but they should still be winning if I'm winning.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just as important as me winning, and I'm just as competitive against the people around me winning.
Yeah. Well, it's a healthy environment, man. You get the right people around you. And what you realize is like, I like to even think of it like this. And like with like life is a game and there are things we win and lose and there is competition, but it's like what I really think everyone's searching for is like finding their voice and then collaboration with people to make what they have better through sharing their gifts and talents. Like that's what it is. And you realize like, I need people to do this. I need to do this with people. I always joke around and say, but I'm actually not even joking. I'm serious when I say this. Like, I am my own evolution project. Boomatics is his own evolution project. It's not like inherently like something I've cornered.
So, yeah.
I've just put a name on it and I've put an experience around it, right? And same thing I did with Bryan Hurd in Utah. I put a name on it.
It's the exact same way that you approached your real estate business.
And dude, and that's exactly right. And that's why it was successful, because it came from my heart and people could feel it and they wanted to be a part of it. And then I said, I'd literally tell members of my team, I said, and you could go back and talk to every freaking single one of them. And I told them up front, I said, you won't even recognize yourself in 3 years. That's my promise to you. And I promise you, go talk to Richin, go talk to Josh, go talk to Justin, go talk to Scott, go talk to Joey, go talk to, the list could like keep going on. Justin, Bobby, right? Stephanie. Like I could just keep naming people, but I guarantee you every one of them's like, yeah, I look back at that period of time. Like I had people that joined my team that I got out of real estate because they really just didn't want to do it anymore.
And you helped them see that.
And I helped one dude.
Which to you is, I think, just as successful as somebody like Josh that goes and starts their own team. Zach
went back to college. Tanner went back to college and now is buying a business. Like I'm saying, like it's not always what people think it is. And those people, they come back to me and they're like, dude, I just want to let you know our period of time was short, but
They're just as grateful as the people that went on to be successful.
That's right, because they are on their own journey of their own evolution, right? So it's like this, like what I've realized is like the evolution project is just an extension of what I was doing with Be Heard in Utah, and it's something that I feel really passionate about, and I have become more vocal about, right, inviting people in because it is real. It's really real. It's really great. I really enjoy it. And what I love is like real estate gives me a platform to carry out what I'm about and create space for me to do the evolution project where it's like I'm doing it from this like pure place where it's like, dude, this is a heartfelt passion project.
You're not chasing money. You're not chasing. It's what you would be doing even if the lights weren't on.
Yeah, dude, if money was of no object, I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like that's how it is. And I'm telling you, man, people are getting a better version of me. That is the real
in real
truth.
estate and in the evolution project and in normal life and in everyday passing, right? In everyday life.
Because I'm connected to myself.
Well, for those that are out there that want to be a part of either the evolution project or buy or sell a house from you, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I'm going to give out one more shout out to our sponsor before I say this.
I think they only paid for 4.
I'd really like to thank Liquid Death.
Oh, this one's free then.
This one
buy 4 get 1 free.
I just took a drink and it went down smooth.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have a bitterness to it.
There's no bitterness.
It tastes a lot like water. It just flows through.
It's the exact same, 3.8%.
I've just murdered the hell out of my thirst. I feel like I'm in the Alps. I'm free. And, you know,
people can't get a hold of you at all.
Right. And if you did want to get a hold of me, you'd call me at 801-574-5698, or you could just send a quick email to Bryan with a Y at BHURDINUTAH.com, BeHeardInUtah.com. Thank my parents for that little BF thing. Yeah. I'll tell you something that did end that I think is really true. When I started Be Heard in Utah, it was in 2010. It was a turning point. I just got my ass kicked for 2 years in a row in real estate. And I was at a turning point where I'm like, I got to figure this out, or like I'm out.
Or I got to get out.
I got to get out. And those are blessings in our lives. Like, don't overstep that stuff. Yeah, because you get to figure out who you are. And what I figured out about me is that I had a great desire to do something that was meaningful. So I started this thing called Be Heard in Utah. And it came from like a pure, wonderful place in my heart. And I dug in. And in a 12-year period, we did amazing things. I had a lot of good impact, not just on the people on my team.
You're sounding nostalgic just a little bit.
Well, because it is. It's a special place, dude. Like, and just let you know, like, I've made a decision this year where like I disbanded the team, right? But it felt right. It felt like this was the time that it was like it served a purpose. I'm grateful for it. And I've let it go.
So can we get some juicy gossip?
Yeah, sure.
Is there ever a world where you think the team comes back?
I mean, I would say highly unlikely, but and if it did, it wouldn't. It would be different. Like I'm clear on what it would look like if I did another team.
So it's not ruled out.
No, it's not ruled out. It's just right now, it's just not, my energy is not there. And like one of the things that I have really like I'm a very passionate person. And like I ask myself often, like, am I committed or am I obligated to this? And commitment feels different than obligation. And by the way, I self-create it myself, right?
Yeah, commitment to me is what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Obligation is like everything that comes with it.
Yeah. And there's times where you have to like push through it, but you can still commit and push through, right? And just for me, it was just like, there was a pivot, you know? And so like, I'm not like ruling it out completely for the rest of my life, but I just know that right now, that's where I'm at. And I feel, you know, good about it. I still love everybody that's on the team, care about them. I feel like I have relationships with them. I want them to win. I want them to be so successful. If they called me and they needed anything, absolutely, I'd be there for them. I am there for them still, you know. Just an interesting conversation with my life.
Well, we appreciate you coming on.
I am grateful that I was here. And you know what I'm grateful for, Boo?
What?
You thought I was going to say Liquid Death.
No. I don't know what I thought you were going to say.
I was actually going to tell you I'm grateful for you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Like, I really am grateful for our relationship.
Appreciate it. Me too.
You're somebody that I look up to. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Especially if you know who I am.
Yeah. But I really do look up to you because I feel like you and I have a lot of things in common.
I do too. Yeah.
I think you're a relationship. I think you're a wholehearted leader. I think you're trying to do a lot of good, and you are doing a lot of good.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So,
Seriously.
love you, man.
Appreciate you. Love you too.
Bye, boo.
Don't say bye. That's weird.